when the company was created, we want to really innovate this space by using technologies. How we did that. Before I talk about how we innovated that, I would like to, everybody knew about this famous crossing the chasm product diffusion curve. Most technologies start in labs, in underground garages. They'll be kind of diffusing with all the tech geeks, having their own science. And there's a big chasm in between for the technology to be diffused all over the world. And then soon the technology starts going mainstream, and then it becomes antiquated after a few years. When Sharepoint was created, and when I joined Sharepoint, Edward told me, he exactly said what he said to you about being innovative and be using technologies to capture the marketplace and use efficient technologies. Don't worry about whether it is just starting to take off. Our idea is to use technologies to capture new markets and new offerings and produce great value to the customers. That was our idea. So what technologies we really chose? Edward talked about BizTalk. We talked about we distribute chemicals all over the country, all over the world. So we wanted an efficient tool to talk to them electronically, not through faxes and emails, but electronically. So we chose BizTalk because of its XML nature and how easily we can communicate. We are a marketing and sales company. What does marketing and sales need to get their job done? So we wanted a data warehouse. Sharepoint, we wanted a collaboration, content, and communication tool. Some of these technologies are mainstream today, but when we started, they were not mainstream. They were just getting to start to cross the chasm. Virtualization. When the very first time I heard the word hypervisor, I don't know what they're talking about. That's the name now everybody uses. VoIP, unified communications. So Edward talked about that, how unified communications could be a great way to integrate into the businesses to offer effective, productive solutions. So let me talk about BizTalk, how we are using BizTalk. BizTalk, as you know, is an XML integration tool. It sends XML messages to different people, applications, vendors, customers. And as Edward said, when we started to use BizTalk, it was a big risk for us. There was no track history. There were established leaders like webmethods. And we were starting to use a JKit, and Edward used to call it Biz Don't Talk, because most of the times it wouldn't work. But as with any product, any Microsoft product, as the product gains momentum and it builds steam, the product became more and more productive with more features. And today, this is the epicenter of our communication framework that we use to talk to all our vendors, suppliers, warehouses, customers. Everything is happening electronically, offering immense cost-effective solutions to the business. So some of the solutions are, like, everything is done electronically. We process hundreds of invoices electronically that comes from suppliers, customers. We send notifications to all the customers electronically. We don't spend on actual USPS mails. Everything is done electronically. And interestingly, some of the other products that we evaluated during that time, either they are not being used anymore, or the product life cycle is done. Whereas by betting with Microsoft 10 years ago, we have a steady source of product features and improvement that's going on today. And it's once again proven that betting with the Microsoft technology early on is not a bad idea. Data warehouse. I talked about how data warehouses could be used to make important, critical decisions for marketing and sales. We all know about data warehousing. It is there right from Teradata and Unix and all those things. But what is unique about our data warehouses, we bet on Microsoft technology again. We had the option to choose various providers available today, various vendors. We bet on Microsoft technology. We built a complete data warehouse using Microsoft SQL Server and SQL Analytical Services and SQL Cubes and Excel and Sharepoint today. So using the data warehousing tools, our marketing, operations, and sales have information at their fingertips today to make their decisions, to make critical decisions, to make the next purchase. Should we get this product or not? Should we predict maybe the next customer is going to order a lot of products? All the decision support models today are being used by our data warehouse. Not only that, being in the business model that we are, the data warehouse has become our value-added offering to our customers and suppliers. Most of the people partner with us because of the information that we are able to mine from our data warehouse. In fact, sometimes we know more about, even though we are a distributor, we know more about our customers than the suppliers themselves because of the mining that we have done. Once again, betting on Microsoft technology and using Microsoft SQL data warehouse has proved very beneficial to us. And today we are evolving with Microsoft's technology, and we are able to offer more complex, complicated, useful solutions for our businesses. Well, I don't need to tell this crowd what Sharepoint is. It is a buzzword that everybody knows about. Today, for Microsoft, Sharepoint is, I think, one of the top-selling products next to Office and Windows. It's a surprise winner for Microsoft. So for ChemPoint, how are we using Sharepoint today? We are using all the 4 major features of Sharepoint in our technology. The internet-facing website, chempoint.com, is completely built on Sharepoint using the content management framework of Sharepoint. All our business teams all over the world today are using the collaborative features, My Sites, Team Sites of Sharepoint. We have built dashboards, workflows that are using Sharepoint internally. And document management. This is a new field that's already started with Documentum, and Microsoft has taken over that particular space now. And I believe that this has got a lot of potential to mine your documents in addition to being data. You know about structured data, and this is non-structured field, and there is a lot of information available there. And Sharepoint today is at the center of all these pieces, and we have one single tool that can do it all. And we are excited about the new version. As we speak, the team in my company is working on the Sharepoint 2010 product, installing and trying to find out what's the next cool thing that they could do. Well, this is one technology that I'm really, really happy to talk about, virtualization. When Edward first came and told me about virtualization in 2002, I didn't believe that there's a product out there that could virtualize a server and run it in another physical server. I didn't believe that. Like, I'm talking about not a desktop, but actual Windows server. As I used the product, we learned more about it, and suddenly realized that this is the next wave of technology that we could use. Today, by using virtualization, we are efficiently managing our data centers. With the powerful servers that we have today, we can put 5 or 6 virtual servers inside one physical server, and the returns are tremendous. For the starters, it's green. I mean, we are jumping into the green bandwagon, and it's efficient to manage all the servers. Updates. There's only one physical server that manages everything. Not only that, we are able to do more with less today. That is the big mantra right now with the economy like this right now. Doing more with less always. Get noted with your boss. Unified communications. The main business for us is talking to people, talking to customers, talking to suppliers. So we believe that this is the typical picture of how a phone system is in a company. And this is where we are today. Microsoft product sitting in the middle that's either taking phone calls, emails, voice, live conferencing, live meetings, IMs, all Microsoft standard. The product right now, not only that, with this product, we are able to build rich applications for the business. For example, somebody might be sitting in, and he wants to interface with somebody else who's an expert in the field. We are able to build applications that can easily point from the website to make a phone call to his desk. And not only that, sometimes people need not be in their desks to take a phone call. They could be sitting in Starbucks, sipping a coffee, and when somebody wants to talk to them, using the Office communication technology, we are able to easily divert a phone call there. In my mind, this is a game changer for Microsoft. I talked about a lot of technologies that we used, we took advantage of, and which you are really, really enjoying now, and the business is enjoying. What is next? What's out there that we could take advantage today that might be game changers tomorrow? Some of the things that I predict are cloud computing, desktop virtualization, mobile computing, we already know that, predictive analytics, enterprise search, and knowledge management. So in concluding this presentation, I believe that in today's cutthroat economy and competition, technology is a secret sauce for business to succeed. And a lot of disruptive technologies are available today in the market that can make the difference. Businesses like Sharepoint, who realized that very early on, have a lot to gain in terms of profitability and also market penetration. So I would like to end this presentation with a question. What do you think that will be that technology that might revolutionize your business in your line of work? Thank you. Bruce?
Thanks, Eddie. So now we're going to turn to the next chapter, which is going to get more technical. We've had sort of a high-level overview of what iLink is doing in optimizing operations, and talked to Sharepoint, who've had kind of a remarkable experience with having an optimized life in technology. We're next going to hear from Piyush, and then have a short break. There's coffee outside for you guys. So let me introduce Piyush. Piyush Prakash is a group manager at iLink. He coordinated the presentations for this event that are going to follow. I've known Piyush for a long time, so let me just quickly embarrass him by telling you 3 things about him. The good news is it's always fun to come into Piyush's office and sit down and talk to him about his projects, because he's always working on some freaky cool stuff that solves problems that you didn't think could be solved. So that's the good news about him. The bad news is 2 things. First, now he's in more of a leadership role, and he's managing a lot of client projects. But anytime a client gets to know him, that client tries to basically suck him in and get him 100% of the time. So that's a really bad habit that Piyush has to fix. The other thing is, man, scary. I saw him toss that Surface computer that out in the lobby. It was like 400 pounds. I saw him toss it back of a van last week, almost single-handedly. So you don't want to meet him in a dark alley at night either. But with no further ado, Piyush Prakash.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good time. Bruce, I love you too. But we both have these, can't do much about it. All right, so we have a lot of exciting things coming your way. Demos, talks about frameworks. We have a lot of frameworks to show you, presentations, so on and so forth. And only person standing between you and all those exciting stuff is me. So that's probably a good or rather bad way of remembering the guy who stood between you and the exciting stuff. My name is Piyush, as Bruce said. My role at iLink is that of a group manager. I work with a team of people, very talented, amazing people who work on emerging technologies, exciting technologies, or as Sai calls it, disruptive technologies like SharePoint, Silverlight, Azure, SQL Server, you name it. And my job today is to set the stage for what's coming next. Essentially give you some background around what we are thinking, why we are thinking, what we are working on, things like that. The term framework, you heard Sri mention it about maybe 5, 6 times. I have already said it about maybe 2, 3 times. And after me, when Deepak, Gina, and Prem take the podium, they say it about a billion gazillion times. Right? So it would make sense for me to explain what we mean when we say frameworks. We sometimes also call them as accelerators. But after a lot of debate, deliberations, wrestling, and so on, we started calling them as frameworks. And then I'll also do a walkthrough of 3 of our frameworks that we currently are working on. We have some very exciting stuff to show you guys on those frameworks, namely sales and marketing, HR, and IT. OK, so what are we thinking? Why are we working on these frameworks? What's our end goal when we are working on these frameworks, right? We are thinking about optimizing your processes as it exists today. As Edward said, looking into the future, changing with the change. We are thinking about how to increase the efficiency of the processes that you have. We are thinking about faster ROI. The investment that you are making into technologies and solutions, you should be able to realize those ROI, not having to wait for many months. How do we accelerate that cycle? How do we find value in adopting new technologies, right? So we need to have tangible, demonstrable stuff where we can show that adopting new technology does not necessarily mean cost. It also means business value. And that could definitely lead to cost saving. And how we are doing it? We are doing it by creating frameworks. Okay? It's like building a house, right? How many of you have built a house? Like, I don't mean like actually cutting woods and building a house. Like living in a house, you know what are the problems. And some of us who do know that one of the most important things for a house is its foundation, right? The choice of materials. So same is true for software as well, right? You're planning to build a software that is either going to help your salesperson see the KPIs better. That's either going to help your someone on mid and upper level management see the KPIs, how business is performing. Whatever that requirement is, in a typical software development life cycle, if you're trying to build a new solution on a new technology, it takes anywhere between 30 to 70% of the time trying to get the foundation right. You heard from Sai, right? They are adopting OCS. If let's say your team you wanted to try out OCS, it would take your team at least anywhere between 3 months to 4 months to get it set up, get it in a condition where it can be demonstrated before you decide to adopt it, right? What we are doing is we are thinking through those foundation elements and essentially converting them into frameworks, actual demonstratable code. Okay. So is it making sense till now? All right, great, awesome. So let's talk about the platform on which we are building these frameworks or accelerators. We are using Office 2010, of course, SharePoint 2010, SQL Server, SharePoint, OBA solutions utilizing Outlook, Excel, and Word. When I say OBA, I mean Office Business Applications. You can easily write extensions to the applications that your workforce is anyway using day in and day out. They don't need to go to 3 different systems to be able to access content, access data, access information. We also have a few demos around OBA as well. Fast is something that we are betting heavily on. We are investing into understanding Fast. We have a few demos as well. Fast is the enterprise search product from Microsoft. It has support for structured and unstructured data. So it's not only connecting to like databases and systems, it's also connecting to media that's on your drive. It's connecting to social networks and then deriving meaningful information out of it. Multi-dimensional search. Exciting stuff. Other technologies, Silverlight, Bing API, we have a few really cool demos to show you on those technology. Microsoft Dynamics, Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud computing platform. We have a few demos on those as well. So this is the technology theme that you'll see reoccurring on various frameworks or demonstrations that we are going to do. That's our platform. And on top of that platform, we have built several what we are calling as frameworks. I've listed down a few of those over here, GIS framework, sales and marketing, HR, IT. We also have a few others that we'll not be talking about today, such as legal case management, or one we have is called SEC filing automation for public sector company who have to file SEC quarterly earnings reports and so on and so forth. I'll be talking more about these frameworks in subsequent slides as well. All right, let's define the term framework. One of the best way to help you guys understand what we mean by framework is to show actual examples, right? And I've taken one framework, what we call as iLink GIS framework, as an example. And let me show you a few what we are calling as instances or reference implementation of iLink GIS framework. Implementation number 1. This is showing sales-based data. This is a project we did for Microsoft, and essentially it's on top of a map. It's showing various sales regions and territories that Microsoft has. Once you select a particular territory, you can see the KPIs related to it. Once you click on it, zoom in, zoom out, all the KPIs and web parts refreshes based on that. Okay? This is one reference implementation of our GIS framework. Here's an example of something we built for a county that is essentially showing services that a county is providing to its citizens. Next example. This is what we built for a wine distribution company. And it's showing them information such as inventory level, how much hold has been put by a customer on the number of bottles of wines, kinds of wines, things like that, wine-related information. And finally, here is a solution that is helping a healthcare company track the spread of swine flu. We built this about a couple of months ago to track the spread and the facilities that are trying to help with the swine flu situation and all that. It's also showing information like the inventory level in terms of immune shots and things like that. And what if I were to tell you all these solutions are built on top of an underlying framework that essentially is taking care of data being shown? So it's the same underlying components that driving all of these solutions. Okay? Data may be different. The way data is shown may be different. But the underlying layer, the underlying architecture that we have, that's common across all these systems. So I hope you are getting the picture of what I'm trying to present. It's all about reusability. All right, there are 3 key terms in understanding frameworks. Number 1 is provider. Provider is where your data resides. Now that data could be county data, it could be sales data, it could be wine-related data, it could be distribution of greenhouse emission, it could be inventory level, it could be whatever, right? It could also be data that's residing in Facebook, that's residing in Bing, that's residing in any of the data sources, one of your line of business applications. So that's one key term when we talk about our GIS framework. It's a data source. Term number 2, what we are calling as consumers. These are the entities that consume the data, right? And are agnostic to the data that they are consuming. So when you're writing consumers, irrespective of the type of data you're wanting those consumers to show, it's driven by an standard, an interface that we have written. As long as your data source is following that standard, it's compliant with that standard, your consumer is going to be able to show it. Okay? Examples of consumers, it could be a Silverlight application, it could be a Sharepoint application, it can be a Facebook widget, it could be a mobile application. Third key term when defining our framework is core service, which is where the magic happens. We take a data source, right, irrespective of the data type that's in that data source. In between where we have our core service, we map it to a standard schema that we have defined to work with our GIS, and then convert it in a format that can be consumed by consumers. So these are the 3 steps that goes into implementing this particular framework, what we are calling as iLink GIS framework. This is one other way of essentially showing the same information. On right side, you have providers of data. Data could be coming from SharePoint, SQL Server, Azure, any of these data sources. In between what we are calling as core framework, essentially that's where we are mapping data to the schema that we have defined. It's a standard-based schema. And finally, you have consumers on the left side. And your consumer could be any of these types. It could be a Silverlight application. It could be a SharePoint web part. It could even be a SharePoint workflow. So let me quickly recap what is framework, what you could do with it, things like that. So what is a framework? It's a code that's standard-based that we have already thought through. And real-life example, right? Let's say you want to show some data that resides in 3 different applications in your company, right? We have already thought through how to show that data on top of a map. That's what GIS is. Essentially, you are showing data on top of a map. You are showing some data around it when you click on a pushpin on a map. Right? So we have thought through the standards, we have thought through the best practices, and we have something that's readily usable. So if you were to implement a GIS framework, you don't need to think through those things. We have already done that plumbing for you. We have already thought through those 40% of the solution. It's the rest 60% that will depend upon the kind of requirement, kind of data that you want to show on top of a map. So what is a framework? It's a set of code, binaries, vertically focused services, set of best practices that are also demonstratable, accelerators. It's database schema for some of the data types that we have thought through. For example, flu tracking, right? Or sales-based. We have a data model that could easily be retrofitted into your sales model, right? So that's what this framework is. What is the current state? We have support for providers, which is nothing but data source, like SQL Server, SharePoint, CRM. We are working on Facebook as a provider as we speak. We have support for consumers such as SharePoint, Azure, Silverlight. You'll see demos of all these different frameworks. And we have a few of the verticals where we have already written services. I showed you an example of sales, healthcare, county-related services. So we have already written those services. How can you adopt it? You can take it as is. So let's say you were to show sales-based data that very closely resembles what I have already shown, right? It hardly needs any change. You can just take it, right? One of the ways you could write more providers, could write more consumers, or more services, different kinds of data consumption. Or you could also customize what we have. So in terms of branding, in terms of some services, you may want to show 10 other data elements from what we are currently showing on sales dashboard and so on and so forth. So those are some of the ways of utilizing our frameworks. OK, so before I go into talking about all the other frameworks and all the other demonstration that we're going to do you guys have any question on GIS framework? Or the broader framework concept that we are trying to build? Yeah, sure.
Where do you get the data from the US lab or a county? Where do you get the data?
That is very readily available when we are using Bing API. So Bing is providing all kinds of services. It's also enabling you to do things like, you could go on Bing Map today and type hospitals near Redmond. That same thing can be done using Bing API, the services that Bing is providing. Okay, I hope that answered. Any other questions? All right, so let's talk about the 3 tracks that we have, the 3 frameworks that we want to talk about today. Number 1 is iLink Sales and Marketing Framework. So what are some of the challenges that you are facing today? Right? It's very common for a salesperson to say today that he is not able to very easily find out leads that he needs to be following up on. Or for a marketing person to come and say that I want to run a campaign, I don't have tools, I don't have technology, I don't have solution using which I can easily create a campaign. And today's campaign are not just sending mails out to like hundreds of thousands of people, right? Today's campaign involves setting up a blog, setting up a Facebook site, setting up a LinkedIn event environment. It needs also multimedia support, right? You need to have videos, you need to have support for Twitter. So it's entirely different from what it used to be maybe 2 years before, right? Those are the kinds of challenges that we are trying to solve with our sales and marketing framework. One of the big challenges for your management to come and say we don't have enough visibility, real-time visibility into how our opportunities or leads or campaigns are performing, right? What is the distribution of our opportunity across all the geographical region? How many opportunities I have from Midwest as opposed to Southwest? Things like that, and be able to drill down and roll up. A framework like this could easily have taken a few months let's say if it was to be done using an older technology. But with Bing and Silverlight, some of the, we're also going to show some demos like that, it could easily be done in a matter of weeks. And which is what our framework is trying to facilitate. These are, various, each of these circles represent some of the common functions, common business functions or common roles that exist today in sales and marketing, starting from campaign and content creation, campaign execution, lead nurturing, collecting those opportunities, be able to follow up on those opportunities, sales forecasting and execution, be able to forecast how your leads is performing, how your opportunity is performing, what is the distribution, what is the probability of closure, what is the trend when compared to last year. Last year, October, how many leads you had, how many leads you have same time frame this year, be able to drill down based on quarters, months, years, weeks, right? Capabilities like this can be enabled. A quick rundown of technologies that we are using to enable those capabilities. Campaign and content creation utilizing SharePoint-based features, web portal, content management, workflow collaboration, policy-based, role-based access. Campaign execution using, of course, SharePoint and something called as Prolific. Prolific is one of our partners and a customer. We helped them develop this product over the period of last almost 1.5 years. Their product just got recognized by Forbes and Gartner. Prolific is also one of the tools that we're going to demonstrate that can easily help solve some of the sales and marketing challenges, along with, of course, SharePoint, Silverlight. Sales forecasting and execution, so we'll be doing some demos using Microsoft Dynamics to solve problems like contact management, automated follow-up, opportunity management, so on and so forth. And finally, we have some SharePoint, Prolific, as well as someone doesn't like my presentation after all. We are going to show you, some tracking and reporting features utilizing technologies like SharePoint, Prolific, some dashboards that we have built using Bing and Silverlight, so on and so forth. Okay. So with that, let me hand over stage to Deepak, who's going to talk more about sales and marketing framework, show you guys some actual real-life reference implementation of this particular framework.
Thanks, everyone. Let me get started with the sales and marketing track. So the technologies that I'm going to be demonstrating today include Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which is a customer relationship management software package that's produced by Microsoft, and Prolific, which Piyush just introduced. So Prolific has been recognized by Forbes as one of the top 20 most innovative young companies in the US. And iLink has been working very closely with Prolific to develop their product. Prolific is basically a sales and marketing communication management system and a content management system. The third is the dashboard, the iLink.js framework, which basically involves Silverlight, Bing SDK, and any database background. So I'm just going to go over a typical scenario in a sales and marketing department. So Sam here is the marketing guy, Julie is the sales rep, and Rebecca is the manager of the sales and marketing team. For any organization, there might be lots of Sams and lots of Julies, probably spread over quite a wide geographic area. So a typical scenario in the sales and marketing process, Sam is responsible for creating the content for marketing. Now that content needs to be available for everyone in the organization, to all the sales reps and to everyone in the marketing department as well. So what I'm going to show you rather is how Sam can use the iLink framework to upload documents so that he can, it's available to everyone. And the cool thing about this is that it has version control enabled. So if Sam kind of goes and uploads a particular version and some other marketer decides to change it and uploads it again, whoever goes and sees it gets the latest version. So let me show you how that is done. So this is the Prolific Marketing Content Framework. What I'm going to do is basically go ahead and upload. So I can go here and upload a file. I'm basically going to go ahead and upload this particular file right here. So once I do that, you know, it asks me for a title for this file. I'm just going to say demo file. And I can go in and set certain properties for this file. Now, notice what I do with the group. So I say in the group, I say, you know, learn more. And I give it a friendly name, demo file. And I assign a layout called BizDev to it. Now, remember this, because what I'm actually doing is the iLink marketing framework basically enables the marketers such as Sam to go create templates that the sales rep can use. So what I'm going to do is basically upload this content into a template that can be readily used later. So I'm just going to go and click OK.